Hey guys, what's going on? It's Craig. How we doing today? Hope you guys all have a wonderful weekend. It's Saturday night. Gonna start off my day. I'm gonna try this beer right here. Ryan Geist, since he made a Wowie, it says it's a pineapple, passion fruit with other natural flavors ale. It's brewed and canned in Cincinnati, Ohio. So, hey, Gary, you're from Ohio. Gary from Physical Format Rock and Roll. He is from Ohio. If I remember correctly, maybe you've had this. Let me know what you think. I've never seen this before. Stopped at the liquor store today. They had all kinds of this brand with different flavors. I decided to go with this pineapple passion fruit to see how it's going to taste. Cheers. Happy weekend, everybody. That's pretty damn good. Real fruity. Definitely, yeah, real fruity. Very good though. That's pretty smooth. Nice ale. Definitely got the hints of pineapple. The passion fruit kind of overpowers it a little bit. But overall, that seems like a good investment for the weekend. All right, so I was thinking about something this week about bands that have always kind of like an either or not necessarily an either or, but a comparison between the two. And sometimes if you find the answers to what people like, you can kind of figure out what type of rock or metalhead they are more than anything else. So, you know, things like Beatles or Stones, right? Or let's see, Maiden or Priest, Megadeth or Metallica, you know, Kiss or Aerosmith. I mean, those type of questions, you know, which ones are your favorites out of those things kind of leads you in a certain direction. You can kind of tell people's style or flavor or whatever. But there's two bands that I think that they were from the same era and they put albums out not quite at the same time, but they're, you know, their main catalog of all their popular stuff. They each have like 5 records that are their main popular ones. So I was thinking about this and I thought I'd just bring that up. So we're going to talk about, is it Ratt or Motley Crue? Right? So out of the cellar, well, I should probably start with Motley Crue because they were first. So Motley Crue, Too Fast for Love. This is their debut record right here. And I want to say it was 81 or something like that. Of course, we didn't really know about this record until the next record comes out. But this has got some good stuff on it. Live Wire, Come On and Dance, Public Enemy #1, Merry-Go-Round, Take Me to the Top, Piece Your Actions, Starry Eyes, Too Fast for Love, and On With the Show. Great tracks, great heavy rock record. Compared to Ratt's debut album, this has got Round and Round and Wanted Man, and of course there's no track listing on here. Let me pull the sheet. I moved the record and the sheets out of the back here. Wanted Man, You're in Trouble, Round and Round, In Your Direction, She Wants Money, Lack of Communication, Back for More, The Morning After, I'm Insane, and Scene of the Crime. So that's the track listing on these. So, sorry about that. So if you go debut to debut, and were to just pick bands right away, I would have to go with this myself. I always love this record. Now, don't get me wrong, I love this record too. This is the hardest part of these, you know, in my opinion, I think this is the hardest one for comparing first to first and second to second, as I'm going to do throughout this episode. This is the hardest one to pick because this album is super heavy, super hard, got a little bit of punk influence to it. Every song is killer. I don't know if the same can be said for this. There are killer songs on here, and this is a great record, but in my opinion, every song on here is kick-ass, and not necessarily every song on here is kick-ass. So, you know, and I started this in my head, thinking Ratt's going to win out. In my opinion, I always thought they were the better band, but right now, Motley Crue 1, Ratt 0. Second album, Motley Crue Shout at the Devil. There's your back cover there. The inner on this, as a teenager, I mean, this right here, you know, when we were all, you know, it was Image and everything else, these guys were the coolest motherfuckers out there, man. They were just so badass. And the video for Looks to Kill, you know, this has got in the beginning, Shout the Devil, Looks to Kill, Bastard, Knock 'em Dead Kid, and Danger. Side 2 starts with Too Young to Fall in Love, Helter Skelter, Red Hot, 10 Seconds to Love, and God Bless the Children of the Beast. Those aren't necessarily in order. I read that, but yeah, the videos for Too Young to Fall in Love and Looks to Kill. I mean, just killer stuff. This was a killer record. The second Ratt album, Invasion of Your Privacy, it's got You're in Love, Never Use Love, Lay It Down, Give It All, Closer to My Heart, Between the Eyes, What You Give Is What You Get, Got Me in the Line, You Should Know By Now, Dangerous But Worth the Risk. So, there we go again. Second album versus second album. To me, this is a great record, don't get me wrong, but this is no contest. This album is way better than this one. I mean, this has got You're in Love and Lay It Down on it. Those are the two hits. That's it. There's really only two hits on here if you consider hits, and that would be Looks to Kill and Too Young to Fall in Love. But let's face it, like songs like 10 Seconds to Love and Shout at the Devil and stuff, those, whether they were radio hits or not, doesn't really matter. I think this album is, you know. Now, that being said, obviously, in my opinion, these are way better musicians than these guys. The Crosby DeMartini duo and all that, this is a way more talented band, I think, than this. Not taking anything away from Mick at all when it comes to guitars. But to me, so right now, I'm up 2-0, honestly, with Motley Crue. All right, so now, third record from the Crue, Theater of Pain, City Boy Blues, I'm just going to show you. There's your track listing right there, and you can see this record has two hits, and one's not even their song. It has Home Sweet Home, and then Smoking in the Boys' Room, which is not even their song, right? And that's pretty much it. And this album is a disappointment. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. As a teenager in the 80s, a metalhead, after listening to Shout at the Devil, then this comes out, and this look, now look at these guys here now, right? I don't think this is a very good record. Now, we go to Ratt's third record. It's got Dance, One Good Love, Drive Me Crazy, Slip of the Lip, Body Talk, Looking for Love, 7th Avenue, It Don't Matter, Take a Chance, and Enough is Enough. Side 2's a little weak on this, but Dance and Slip of the Lip and Body Talk, those are all three hits. Those are all Ratt songs most people know. There's the back cover on that one. So if you're comparing this to this, sorry, but this one's the better record. If we're going third album by third album, you know, and honestly, Ratt had a sophomore slump with their second record compared to Out of the Cellar. Yeah, Invasion of Your Privacy is kind of a sophomore slump. This is them coming right back. Great stuff all together. This album, yeah, it's the weakest Crue album by far. By far. All right, so after that, Motley Crue releases Girls, Girls, Girls. And this has Wild Side, Girls, 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 Dance on the Glass, Bad Boy Boogie, Nona, 5 Years Dead, All in the Name of, Something for Nothing, You're All I Need, and Jailhouse Rock. They kind of go back to a little bit of a darker look, you know, more of a biker look, less glam look here. You know, Wild Side and Dancing on, Girls, Girls, Girls were big hits. They played them all the time on MTV. This album with Motley Crue, Home Sweet Home, it kind of blew them up. You know, that was a pretty big song. You know, it was the 80s. It was a power ballad and stuff like that. But I think this solidifies Crue. I think this album really solidifies them. But really, there's two hits on here. Ratt comes out with, Reach for the Sky. Sorry about that, guys. It's got I Want a Woman, Way Cool Jr., Don't Buy the Hand That Feeds, Chain Reaction, I Want to Love You Tonight, No Surprise, Bottom Line, What's It Gonna Be, and What I'm After. This one's a hard one to pick. They basically each have, this has Girls, 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 and Wild Side were the two hits, and this has I Want a Woman and Way Cool Jr. Both big records. Ratt is, you know, I don't know if they're as big as Motley Crue at this time, but they're pretty damn close. That's why I'm comparing these two bands together. Same time frame, you know, it's the 80s. Both of this kind of ends in 89 or 90 for both of these bands, in my opinion. But, you know, this one's really hard for me to pick, but I'm going to pick Ratt over this. I will pick Reach for the Sky over Girls, Girls, Girls. So now we're at 2-2. And I got one more to go. Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood. They're not as dark as the Girls album, but they're not as glammy as the Theater of Pain record. This has got TNT, Dr. Feelgood, Slice Your Pie, Rattlesnake Shake, Kickstart My Heart, Without You, Same Old Situation, Sticky Sweet, She Goes Down, Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away, Time for a Change. And then Ratt's fifth album is Detonator. And it has Shame, Loving You's a Dirty Job, Scratch That Itch, One Step Away, Hard Time, Heads I Win, Tails You Lose, All or Nothing, Can't Wait to Love, Giving Yourself Away, and Top Secret. All right, so big hits on this. Dr. Feelgood, Kickstart My Heart, Without You's kind of a hit. Don't Go Away Mad is kind of a hit. So there's two real big hits and two sort of hits. Over here, Shame's a big hit. Loving You's a Dirty Job is a big hit. One Step Away is a big hit. Heads I Win is a pretty big hit also. So hit-wise, they're both pretty, pretty much the same. This is a really hard one. So this is where, this is a tiebreaker in my opinion. I've got 2-2 right now. So fifth album from Motley Crue, fifth album from Ratt. Which one's the better record? So we have 4 hits. So let's go with the stuff that isn't hits. Slice Your Pie. Rattlesnake Shake, pretty good. Sticky Sweet, She Goes Down, all right. Time for a Change, don't even really know that song off the top of my head. Scratch That Itch, on this you got Scratch That Itch, Hard Time, All or Nothing, Can't Wait on You, or Can't Wait on Love, and then Top Secret are the songs that weren't hits. So if I had to go with the deeper cuts and stuff on that, I'm probably going to have to pick this. As much as it pains me to say it, I'm probably going to have to pick this over this when it comes down to it. And so that would make it 3-2 Motley Crue. And that's where I end with both of those bands. That's when I stop listening to Ratt. That's when I stop listening to Motley Crue. Now with Ratt, on the other hand, with Ratt, I do have their EP, which has got 5 songs on it, which I really, really dig. So, if we give a half a point to them, it's really close. So, album-wise, I'm going 3-2, but if you ask me another day, I could go the other way around, honestly. Especially with this last one, with these last 2 here, I could go either way depending on day. So, it's really hard to pick. I think they're both great bands. In my opinion, I think they're both great bands. Now, when it comes down to it, musically, I think Ratt is the better band. I think, like I said, the Warren DeMartini and Robin Crosby dual guitars, Juan on bass, Bobby on drums. Is that correctly? Don't quote me on that, but I think that's right. And Stephen Pearcy is a better singer than Vince Neil. I mean, Stephen Pearcy is a better singer than Vince Neil. I'll fight you. I mean, that's the truth. We all know it. And Juan, although not the greatest bass player, probably a better bass player than Nikki Sixx, you know. And Tommy Lee's a good drummer, but, you know, is he a great drummer? I don't know. And is Bobby from Ratt? It is Bobby Blotzer. I swear to God, that's the name on here. Yeah, Bobby Blotzer. Bobby Blotzer's a better drummer than Tommy Lee. Juan is probably a better bass player than Nikki Sixx. Stephen Pearcy is definitely a better singer than Vince Neil. And the dueling guitars compared to Mick is a great guitar player. But I think, and Robin is a really good guitar player too. I think Warren's the better guitar player when it comes to Robin and Warren, in my opinion. I think Warren DeMartini was the, you know, I know Robin got all the glory, you know, in the beginning it was all about Robin Crosby and all the glory, but I think Warren was a more technical guitar player. So if you're going to compare one guitar player to Mick, you got to compare Warren rather than Robin, in my opinion. So, and that's a really tough one, as to which one's the better guitar player, because on the other hand, Mick is playing without a rhythm guitar player. He's doing the lead, he's doing the rhythm, he's doing all that himself and switching back and forth. So Mick is probably the better guitar player. So Mick's probably the better guitar player, but the dual guitar playing a Ratt might sound better on the other hand. But like I said, when it comes to bass and drums and singing, Ratt has Motley Crue beat, in my opinion. So that's all I wanted to show today. I wanted to talk about that a little bit. That's kind of where I go. I want to say cheers to everybody out there. Hope you guys are all having a great weekend. And, you know, let me know what you think in the comments down below. You know, Ratt and Motley Crue, just these records. And this is all I have. I don't go any farther. I know there's a couple more Ratt albums that happen later. You know, Motley Crue goes through changes. They get I don't know. They get whoever to sing for them. Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. You know, Tommy's on the band for a while, and they kind of go back and forth. And, of course, Ratt has their own issues at the same time. They kind of split off and break up and, you know, get back together once in a while. And they get Carlos Cavazo in the band. They put out more music, and I don't know any of that music. And the only post-feel-good Motley Crue music I know is Saints of Los Angeles, which is a good record. Also, if you go to live bands, Motley Crue's a better live band. I mean, I've seen Ratt a bunch of times. I've seen Motley Crue a bunch of times. Motley Crue puts on a way bigger show, a lot more theatrical. Of course, they were the bigger band. They had a lot more money to do that. So, but live, there's nothing like a Crue concert, you know? And, you know, the last time I saw Crue, Ratt was the opening band. So, you know, I saw Crue and Ratt at the same times, and I saw Ratt with Poison a couple times, and, you know, and so on and so forth. And I've seen Stephen Pearcy solo, and I've seen Vince Neil solo. So, you know, this is not anything, I'm not saying one of these bands is greater than the other. But, you know, it is those comparisons that some people like to go through. Like I said, is it Priest or is it Maiden? Is it Kiss or is it Aerosmith? Is it, you know, is it the Beatles or the Stones? These are the questions that's been bothering rock fans since the beginning of rock and roll, right? You know, so anyway, that's all I got. I appreciate you all for watching. Like I said, go ahead in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Go out my album or tell me just band by band. Tell me it doesn't fucking matter or whatever. I appreciate you all watching. Thank you all, you know, and cheers to everybody out there. Have a great weekend, y'all, and I'll talk to y'all later.